even after 125 years, the teachings and preachings of Swami Vivekananda hold a special importance for us, and we truly realize that they're still applicable. They're very practicable, as we also discussed. What are the 3 top takeaways from Swami Vivekananda's teachings that you think are very important and all of us should adopt in our lives?
I think his teaching of acceptance, that we should not reject anyone because of who they are, because of their religion, because of their identity, that we should see divinity in everyone. The idea that by serving the world, serving others, doing good, we're actually helping ourselves also spiritually. And his teaching of the unity of all existence, that there is a deep oneness behind the diversity of the world.
I think his teaching on strength, that any kind of a weakness, whether physical, mental, emotional, moral, that is what really brings about degeneration. So being strong, being positive, and holding on to constructive values and principles like truthfulness, loving, compassion, the more these are stressed and the more we try to practice them, many of the evils of the modern life will be eliminated.
Namaskar, we are at Vedanta Society of Berkeley's Swami Vivekananda Maharaj's 125th anniversary celebrations here at India Community Center in Milpitas. Joining us are 2 very, very spiritually enlightened souls, Dr. Jeffrey Young and Swami Tyagananda Ji. Thank you so much for your time in speaking with YoIndiaTV. It was a very enlightening session here today. I was listening to your talks, and that was really spiritual awakening for many of us, I would say.
The ego manifests in at least 2 ways. One is the primary ego, whatever we refer to as I will be the primary, and whatever I refer to as mine is the secondary ego. And if there is a choice between I and mine, and we are asked to choose, we'll always choose the I. It's the example I often give is if you have got, say, a new phone, a brand new phone, and then you're walking home that day and someone comes, it's a lonely road, someone comes, sticks a gun at your back and says, your life or your phone? Now, no one is ever going to say, oh, this phone is new, I'm not going to take my life, but not my phone. We won't say that. Now, if there is a choice, then here, my life is me, the phone is mine. And so it's easier to let go of the phone than of oneself. Now, using that analogy, if I can not just, it's easy to say I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, but it doesn't really work. But I can say, yes, don't dismiss the body and the mind, recognize the body exists, the mind exists, but they are just like a gadget. They are mine, but they are not me.
Would you like to give a brief intro about yourself?
So I'm a professor of religion and philosophy and Asian studies at a small college in Pennsylvania called Elizabethtown College.
And about yourself?
I'm Swami Tyagananda. I'm a monk of the Ramakrishna order. I'm head of the Vedanta Society in Boston, and I'm a Hindu chaplain at Harvard and MIT.
Vivekananda's key messages was the best way to serve God is to serve humanity. And so, in your view, how can these ancient Vedantic teachings of Vivekananda address these contemporary social issues while fostering a sense of collective responsibility and compassion? And you touched on this very beautifully in your eloquent talk, your opening talk. If you could round it out a bit.
Okay, certainly. So these teachings of Swami Vivekananda that, again, one of the paths to realization, the karma yoga, involves seva, involves selfless service to humanity. In fact, I would not even want to draw the line at humanity, all living beings really, and to see others in ourselves and ourself in others, that the suffering of other beings is like the suffering that I myself experience, and to then show the same compassion for those beings that I feel for myself. If I put my hand on a hot stove, I pull it away quickly, right? I have compassion for my hand. I don't even have to think about it. To have that same response when we see others suffering, to cultivate that sense of deep unity. And here's why I think the teaching of non-duality is very important, where we really see that the boundary between self and other is that there's an artificiality to it, right? It is part of that impermanent realm. There's a deeper realm of oneness, and this was also a big theme of Swami Vivekananda's teaching.
I would like to ask you, here in US, there is a lot of abundance, and I have recently seen the teenagers getting suicidal. That's not an age when in any country I would expect teenagers to have active or passive suicidal tendencies. That was very shocking to me when I actually saw some of those young boys and girls, who haven't even entered their adult life, they're still kids, I would say, and if they are thinking about all of this, so I would rather think that they are away from some spiritual experience, otherwise they won't think that the human form is to be taken away like this. So tell us a little more about what you think on this.
So this is a huge tragedy afflicting our society. I see more and more young people plagued with anxiety, and at an earlier and earlier age, they're getting involved in social media. They're very preoccupied, of course, with how they're perceived by others, by their peers. This has always been an issue in the teenage years, but because of social media, there's no escape from it now, and they're spending all hours worrying about how they appear to others, and this anxiety is crippling. And because in many cases the religious institutions, these have often turned away young people or turned off young people. They've gotten too involved in politics and other issues, and so the deeper spiritual questions aren't being addressed. And these things would be of great help to young people, I believe.
I think it'll be good for people to have some good role models, being the elders in the family, the elders in the community, because teachings can go only so far, but the role models. So the responsibility, the problems of teenagers is really the problem of the elders around them who are not setting the right example.
If we truly believe in rebirth, then the implication of that belief is that we will hold our present identities a little bit, not too tightly. We won't cling to it. Because many of the identities we have, some of the identities are just identities connected with place. Like for instance now, I might think of myself as a Bostonian, but maybe tomorrow I go to some other place, then that identity ends. Some of the identities remain with us for a few years. My identity as a little child got over when I became a young person. It can get over at different stages of life. But some of the identities will remain through life. But even the identity connected with gender, connected with our religion, with our culture, with our racial identities, are mostly connected with the body, connected with this life. And if you believe in rebirth, then in next life, we could be any other, different gender, a different religion. And so we wouldn't want to hate or exclude anyone.
In the present day scenario, even after 125 years, the teachings and preachings of Swami Vivekananda hold a special importance for us, and we truly realize that they're still applicable. They're very practicable, as we also discussed. What are the 3 top takeaways from Swami Vivekananda's teachings that you think are very important and all of us should adopt in our lives?
I think his teaching of acceptance, that we should not reject anyone because of who they are, because of their religion, because of their identity, that we should see divinity in everyone. The idea that by serving the world, serving others, doing good, we're actually helping ourselves also spiritually. And his teaching of the unity of all existence, that there is a deep oneness behind the diversity of the world.
I think he's teaching on strength, that any kind of a weakness with a physical, mental, emotional, moral, that is what really brings about degeneration. So being strong, being positive, and holding on to constructive values and principles like truthfulness, loving, compassion, the more these are stressed and the more we try to practice them, many of the evils of the modern life will be eliminated, I believe.
Our mind is like a dog. It's like a pet. If your pet is well trained, then this mind can give so much joy, just like a good pet can bring so much joy. But if the mind is not trained, if the pet is not trained, it can become a nuisance. And so the Gita says, the mind can be our friend, the mind can be our enemy. And so, if we want to get rid of distractions, we must make our mind our own friend.
So both of you are traveling from different states. You are coming from Boston, you being the head of the Berkeley Society Boston, and you're coming from Pennsylvania, as you mentioned. So what's the primary difference you've found when you go across US and the other parts of the world, particularly California versus these states, and then the rest of the world versus US?
I really don't see much difference. People are people everywhere, no matter where you go. There could be some superficial differences. You get better Mexican food here than we do in Boston, but I think problems are same everywhere. Yeah,
I agree with that. In fact, this was my thought as well. People are people, and wherever we go, we see that human beings have the same needs and the same longings and the same problems.
So last but not the least, what's your message to all the people who are watching YoIndiaTV worldwide?
Be proud of the great cultural and spiritual heritage that India has given us and live up to it, so that it's not just we speak about the ancient rishis. We have to become rishis ourselves, as Swami Vivekananda said.
And I second that. And the wisdom of India has been its gift to the whole world, and I'm deeply grateful for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.